All right, today we're going to talk about something fascinating, a really unique cognitive style known as high-resolution thinking. So what is this thing? And more importantly, what does it actually feel like to have a mind that works this way? Let's get into it. You know that feeling, right? When you're in a room and you're just seeing more, picking up on all these little details, motives, connections, and it feels like everyone else is completely missing them. That feeling of seeing the world in ultra high def, that's the core of what we're exploring today. Okay, so let's put a name to it, high resolution thinking. And look, this isn't just about being smart in the traditional sense. It's about the very texture of your perception. It's a way of processing reality with this incredible depth, letting you see the underlying architecture of a situation that's just, well, invisible to most people. So, how do you know if this is you? Well, we've broken it down into 6 key signs. We're going to start with the ability to connect the dots, especially the ones nobody else even realizes are there. Sign number 1. You are a pattern spotting machine. And I'm not just talking about seeing patterns in numbers or something. No, this is about seeing the hidden rhythms and how people behave, the subtle domino effect in events, or the secret logic behind a chaotic system. And you usually see it way before anyone else does. And this is where it gets really interesting. A lot of us just call this a gut feeling, right? Or intuition. But what's actually happening under the hood? It's your brain running this incredibly high-speed analysis in the background. It's crunching a ton of data at a resolution most minds just can't handle, which lets you predict what's going to happen next with, honestly, pretty stunning accuracy. Okay, so this 4K lens isn't just pointed at the world outside. It also turns inward. And that brings us to sign number 2. You have strong metacognition. Yeah, it's a bit of a fancy word, I know, but all it really means is thinking about your own thinking. It's this wild ability to kind of step outside of your own head and just watch your thoughts. I love this analogy. It is absolutely perfect. Think about it. Most people are just swept away by the river of their own thoughts. But someone with high-res thinking? Nope. You're on the riverbank, putting those thoughts under a microscope. You don't just have an opinion, you're taking it apart to figure out why you even have it in the first place. So what does this actually look like? Well, a thought pops into your head, but instead of just running with it, you hit the pause button. You take a step back and you look at it. You ask, is this feeling logical or is it just an emotional reaction? Is there some kind of bias hiding in there? It's basically like you're running a nonstop quality control check on your own brain. All right, let's jump into the next set of signs. This group is all about how this way of thinking is always looking ahead, planning, simulating, and adapting to what might come next. Okay, sign number 3, your brain is basically a simulation machine. Seriously. If this is you, you're probably rarely just in the moment. Instead, your mind is constantly running these what-if scenarios, playing out future possibilities, and trying to see the consequences of today's actions, like 5 or 6 moves ahead on a chessboard. And the key here is we're not just talking about what happens tomorrow. No, this is about seeing the ripple effect, months, even years down the line. When a decision gets made, your brain just automatically starts tracing that ripple, seeing this whole chain reaction of consequences that most people won't even think about until it's already happening. Now, let's be real, this can easily get slapped with the label of chronic overthinking or just plain anxiety, right? But it's so important to see it for what it truly is. It's a sign of incredible strategic depth. You're not just worrying, you're literally mapping the future. This next one might sound a little weird at first. Sign number 4 is that you actually kind of like being proven wrong. It's called intellectual humility. For you, it's never about protecting your ego. It's always about getting closer to what's actually true. Yeah, this really nails the difference, doesn't it? The ego's whole goal is just to be right, to win the argument. But the high-res goal? It's to get it right. And if that means admitting you were wrong, hey, so be it, that's a win. For you, getting corrected isn't a failure, it's like a software upgrade for your brain. A mistake isn't something to be ashamed of, it's just new data. It's information you can use to refine your map of the world and make it even more accurate. And honestly, that kind of flexibility is a huge deal for growing over time. All right, for our last 2 signs, we're shifting focus. We're moving from how you think about yourself to how you see the world around you, specifically how you deal with complexity, both in big ideas and in people. So, sign number 5, you're a divergent thinker. What does that mean? Well, when most people see a problem, they're looking for that one single right answer. But your mind? it just explodes into this giant web of possibilities, different angles, and all the little shades of gray in between. Basically, you see complexity where everyone else sees simplicity. You can look at one problem and immediately see 5 different ways to look at it. You can even hold contradictory ideas in your head at the same time. And this is exactly why that oversimplified advice like, oh, just stay positive, can feel so annoying. Because you know reality is way more complicated than that. And that leads us perfectly into our 6th and final sign, which is all about a very special kind of social X-ray vision. You don't just listen to the words people say. You hear what they're not saying. You're constantly reading the tone, the body language, the subtext, all the unspoken intentions that sometimes they don't even know they have. And if you've ever wondered why social events can be so exhausting, this chart pretty much explains it. For most people, a conversation is about the words. But for you, the words are, like 20% of the picture? You're also processing their tone, the context, their hidden intentions. You're doing all of that at once. It's no wonder it takes up so much energy. So if a lot of this is starting to sound familiar, you probably also know that it's not always easy. It's not always fun. Seeing the world in this much detail can sometimes feel less like a superpower and a lot more like a heavy, heavy burden. I'm talking about that friction you feel, right? The analysis paralysis over what to order for dinner, the complete exhaustion after a simple party, the constant second guessing of your own mind. It is so draining. But here's what I really want you to hear. That friction is not a sign that you're broken. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's the proof that your brain isn't just running on autopilot anymore. It's the sign that you've leveled up, that you're operating in a much more intentional, a much more conscious way of being in the world. Look, seeing the world in 4K, it can feel lonely for sure, but it is also an incredible gift. It's where deep creativity comes from. It's the engine of real strategy and true understanding. So the real question I want to leave you with is this. Can you embrace the weight that comes with seeing the world so clearly?